Hello, this is the Teaserking coming to you with week number 6 already in the college football season. I had a good week last week. Hope you guys made some money with my picks and are ready to go for this week. I'd like to just make one key point. You got to watch these teams that change conferences. Um, TCU went to the Big 12. They don't cover as much. Their stats go down. Utah goes to the Pac-10. Now it's the Pac-12, and TCU and Utah, I used to bet them every week. They used to cover and cover and cover in the Mountain West, and you just got to be careful with their trends and their stats because all of a sudden everything changes. And I'm saying this because there's a lot of teams changing this year, next year. You got these. I don't even know what you call Conference USA anymore, the All-American Conference. And next year you got teams going to the Big Ten, and it's just a big mess. But it takes a while for these new teams to adjust, so you might want to look at that for some good info, good betting. Anyway, let's take a look at some games for this week. First game I like to look at is Georgia Tech's playing at Miami. Miami's laying about 5.5. You get Miami even or +1. Really like Miami in this game. I think with their running back and their quarterback, they're a very tough team. They're probably a top 10 team. Georgia Tech lost to Virginia Tech at home last week. The matchup's Miami. Miami wins this game at home a lot, so they've seen that Georgia Tech offense. They know how to defend it. But they got a real strong offense this year, Miami. So I like Miami a lot. It's a cheap spread. Next game is Clemson laying 13.5 to Syracuse. I like Clemson here. Clemson's got it all. Very strong offense. Very good defense. Syracuse, I mean, they lost their quarterback in the seed. They lost their coach. They played nobody. I mean, they're okay, but they're not as strong as they were last year. It's hard when you lose your coach and your quarterback. So I just look at Clemson. I figure lay 7.5, 8 points. On the road shouldn't bother them. I just like Clemson in this game. I think they're a top 1 or 2 team. They've got it all this year. They're experienced, good quarterback, coach, good multi-dimension offense. Very hard to beat. I gotta like only laying 7.5, 8 points there. Another game I'd like to talk about is Nebraska's laying. Now it's about 8.5. It was 10 to Illinois. Taylor Martinez is out at quarterback, so you got a new quarterback. Illinois has been putting up a lot of points. They've been playing very, very well finally. What I thought they'd play last year. Nathan Shieldhouse still their quarterback, and they're really connecting. Nebraska's a lousy home favorite. They really are. We're bet against home favorite. They don't really have a good defense, so I think Illinois keeps this game really close, if not wins it, depending on how good this other quarterback is. But with Martinez out, obviously their offense has to drop. So you're getting 2 touchdowns in Illinois, and they've been playing well and scoring points. I like them in this game. LSU's laying 9.5 to Mississippi State. I really like LSU in this game. You're looking at LSU's a very strong team. After a loss, they'll be really motivated. One thing I looked at with Mississippi State is I looked at who they beat and who they don't beat when I was trying to figure out how strong they are. And the last few years, they beat all the Rices and the UABs and Old Miss or the weaker SEC, the Kentuckys, maybe the Missouris. But when they get up against LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, they lose and lose big all the time. They're not good enough to beat those teams. And when you get them there, you just go against them. And LSU only laying 3 points. I had them last week. I thought that was a joke. That was an easy one. I like them again this week, especially after a loss. Had they won, maybe I wouldn't like them as much. But after a loss, they can't afford to lose again. I think they'll play them pretty good. Now here's a game that's a strange one I don't normally go to. Bowling Green's laying 26 to UMass. Okay, Howard, what are you doing? What are you picking this game for? Well, I watched Bowling Green against Tulsa. I had Tulsa in that game getting about 8 or 9 points, and Bowling Green just kicked the shit out of them. They dominated the play. They had a great defense. They moved the ball on them, and they just looked really, really strong. And UMass is terrible. They're one of the worst teams in college football. I like betting against them. Now here you're laying 26 points, and if you didn't even know the teams, you go, wow, Bowling Green laying 26? That's a big number. But I really like them in this game. They're at home. UMass is terrible. And it's just Bowling Green's defense. I think they'll shut them out. And Bowling Green, like I said, they put up a lot on Tulsa, and they've been playing pretty well. This is a team they should dominate in a game they want to win. So I really like Bowling Green here, laying the 20. I don't normally go to the MAC, but in this case, I have to. Oklahoma's laying 9.5 to TCU. I like Oklahoma here. I think the win at Notre Dame will give them confidence. I don't think they'll be flat. I know they got Texas coming up either next week or the week after. But TCU is a formidable opponent. Their quarterback, Casey Paschal, is out. So they have a running quarterback in. Oklahoma should eat him up. Oklahoma at home is fairly strong. Normally I love TCU. I know they've been underrated for years, which was the intro to this whole segment, was watch them. Now, before this would be, after San Diego State or something, but now TCU, they lost by 10 at LSU, or in a neutral site, without their quarterback. I just think Oklahoma is rolling now. This is a game they should win by about 10, 15 points. TCU will hang in there. They always have a good defense, but I just like Oklahoma at home. I think they take the momentum from Notre Dame, and you're only laying 3 points. I think that's a small number. Oak State's laying 14 to Kansas State. You got Oak State off of a loss to West Virginia. They played terrible. You got Kansas State, who's terrible, who lost to Texas by 10. They lost to, I want to say, like North Montana State or some team like that. They don't have Calvin Klein. He's gone. He was a good quarterback. I'm surprised he didn't get drafted. Kid like that's a winner. I mean, this is what the pro scouts missed. They look at a guy and they, well, he's got a big arm. The guy can't make a decision, i.e. Josh Freeman, i.e. Blaine Gabbert. I don't know what the hell they're looking at. I watch him every week in college. Blaine Gabbert, Josh Freeman. I go, what the hell are you drafting these guys for? And then I watch Kellen Moore and Chase Daniel not get drafted, and I watch them week in and week out put up 50 points a game, and I'm wondering, what is it you guys are looking at that you don't draft these guys? So it still blows my mind how stupid the NFL scouts are and how badly they draft. But here's an instance. Kansas State's terrible this year. Like I said, they lost by Texas by 10. Oak State off of a loss. They'll win by 30 points in this game. I love Oak State here. You're only laying 8. They'll cover 10 in the first quarter. I don't see any issues here. UCF laying 9 to Memphis. I really like UCF. They went into Penn State and won. They played the old ball coach's team last week pretty good. The score was 28-10. They cut it to 28-25. They got a really good quarterback, really explosive team, and a good defense. Memphis is terrible, and you only got to lay 3.5. I love UCF in this game. They're well coached, and they should do real well here. I want to comment on New Mexico State, New Mexico. The spread has went from 8 to 11. New Mexico's not that bad, although I chose them against Vegas last week. I was shocked that Vegas beat them like they did. But in this case, New Mexico State's terrible. I think they are the worst team, them and UMass, in all of college football. They've been getting blown out every week. San Diego State couldn't handle it. That shows how bad San Diego State is. But I don't know. I don't like the spread's getting too high on this one. I'd get it under 3, but 11, you cut it to 5. I don't know. I think there's better games, but New Mexico State is bad. I really don't have a play. I would take New Mexico, but just you can't always jump on the line when it jumps 3-4 points. You got to be careful there. Washington goes to Stanford. Stanford's laying 7.5. Really like Stanford here, laying 1.5. I know Washington's a good team. They beat Boise, but Boise's not as strong as they normally are. Washington is like Seattle in the NFL. They're very good at home. They pump in the noise. They make it hard on the opposition. I get it. You get them on the road. Stanford's defense will stop Price. He's a very good quarterback. But I like Stanford's overall team. They got a great defense. They got a good offense, good tight ends, a good quarterback. You only got to lay 1 with Stanford at home. Take it. All the time, take it. You saw what they did to Arizona State, who I think is as good or better than Washington. And I just like Stanford only laying 1.5 in any game, except for Oregon. Here's a game I really love. Kentucky goes to South Carolina. South Carolina's laying 21. Definitely love South Carolina laying 15 in this game. These are the games that really make South Carolina, that make the better teams. They get that weak team. Kentucky's the worst team in the SEC, and they're coming off. They've lost that game to Georgia, and they really need a win here. And when the team is very good and really needs a win, they tend to really pile it on in college. They'll have their quarterback. He will play Shaw, and against a weak team like Kentucky, I just look for him to pound them like 40-0. I mean, Kentucky's very, very weak. So I look for South Carolina to explode in a must-win game. Arizona State lays 6 at Notre Dame. I have no clue. Arizona State, a road favorite, a desert team. I don't know. Notre Dame, Tommy Rees is just not that good. Those too many turnovers. They'll get all the calls from the refs, like against Michigan State. I honestly don't have a determination on this game. I think it'll be close. I don't know. I would tease Notre Dame in 12, I think, before I tease Arizona State even to win. But I don't really like the game that much. Ohio State laying 7 goes to Northwestern. I like Northwestern plus 13 in this game. I know it's hard to go against Ohio State, and I don't like to do it, but Northwestern's a very, very good team this year. They're undefeated. They're probably a top 10 team. You got Tommy Kane, and they have 2 good quarterbacks. I can't remember the other guy. And they're just a very strong team. I think this game gets very close. I think it's Northwestern at home. I think Wisconsin showed against Ohio State they can keep it close. So I learned something about Wisconsin last week. It's a similar offense that Northwestern runs, so Northwestern will be able to defend it. But I just look for them to score, and I think Northwestern getting 13 at home. I really like that. I think that'll be a very good game. That's about it for college. The Michigan State-Iowa game, it keeps going where Iowa's favored, State's favored, Iowa's favored, Michigan State's favored. Now I see Iowa laying 1. I really like the dog in the game if they can decide on who the dog's going to be. If you get a chance to get Iowa as a home dog, I'd bet heavily on that. Iowa laying 1. I wouldn't bet too heavily on Michigan State plus 7, but this game should be 24-23 should be your final score, and I just really like I like the points if they can settle on a good dog. Oregon laying 39 to Colorado. That'll be over at halftime like usual with Oregon. That's about it. I just see I don't know, those are a good handful. It's best in college. You got to watch teams off of a loss like LSU, South Carolina. You've got to watch for upcoming games. Oklahoma plays Texas, and you just check the history. I like checking the history, like Miami, Georgia Tech. How does Miami play Georgia Tech? And I found that they beat them and they play them well. That's why I'm taking them. Now I was going to take Maryland against Florida State because Maryland's covering and covering and covering. But I didn't because when I looked at the trend, Florida State has buried them the last 2 years. So I'm staying away from that game. But I would have taken Maryland in 22 points. but I can't because Florida State owns them. And that's a very important thing. That's what I do a lot more in pros as I look at the matchup. That's why we locked the Bears last week. The trend in that series was take the underdog, and that's what it did. One game somebody commented on was the Wyoming game last week against Texas State. Wyoming's been scoring 40 points a game, scored 34 on Nebraska, and I gave it out as a real strong play. And the reason was their offense. Now, when you get these 3-hour rain delays, which I've never seen before, all of a sudden they're rain delaying football, which has never happened. I don't understand it. It's football. You play in the rain, the snow, everything. And it's really killing these guys because you can't get ready for a game and then sit for 3 hours and get ready for it again. I'm sure it had a big effect on Wyoming. When I saw it was 10:30 here, I live in Michigan, and it's 10:30 at night, and I looked for the score. I figured Wyoming's killing them, and the score is 7-7 in the second quarter. The 3-hour rain delay. I knew I was in trouble. It's just you can't count on the rain delays. I mean, it's just something you can't count on. So it's just be careful. But if Wyoming played that game 10 times, they'd blow out the other 9. They have a very strong offense, a very good quarterback, and they just got out of sync waiting 3 hours. So there's nothing you can do there. It's just the act of God, and I don't get this 3-hour delay, but that's what happens. But I always try to look for the good quarterback who's hot, i.e. Clemson, Miami, Oklahoma. UCF's got a good quarterback, Stanford, and you just play the heck out of them. And that's really the key to betting, is you just get a good quarterback. He's going to put up points, and you just watch against a real tough defense. As long as they're not playing that tough defense, he'll have a field day. That's how I look at it. So anyway, good luck this week. Again, it's www.teaserking.com. Please come by. Make any comments. Thank you for those who do leave comments here. Appreciate it. If you ever want to understand why I'm making a pick, it's usually matchups. It's a technical trend of the team that's hot. It's a technical trend of the team I'm betting against, like a Massachusetts or a New Mexico State. And it's a matchup where I look at how the teams play each other, injuries, coaches, everything that you could try to predict what's going to happen in the game, because it's not easy, but every pick I make I feel should win, and that's how I do it. Anyway, have a great weekend, and good luck, you guys. I'm sure you'll make some money on these picks.